Yes, we are still here. Welcome back to All About America's Team, brought to you by Delahanty Media. My name is Ray Nickens. This is,
Oh, and the Chico.
and we are here to break down some Cowboys Giants, everyone's favorite matchup of the week, other than the Dolphins and Bills. But we're not a Dolphins or Bills show. So that's all I will say on that. But the Dallas Cowboys, without Dak Prescott, so it will be the Cooper Rush Dallas Cowboys, will be taking on the Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley New York Giants, who are surprisingly undefeated thus far in this season. We have a lot to talk about for this episode, but just a quick reference. Yes, we are aware that the Bengals game has not been talked about. That will be talked about in the following episode. So just be looking forward to a Giants and Bengals post game episode in the future. But as of today, it's all Cowboys Giants. So I'll give the floor to Owen. Owen, what's any news updates for today or this upcoming game this month? Or
Uh,
actually today, yeah.
well, Jason Peters was signed to the 53-man roster, and he will likely play left guard and not tackle. Michael Gallup is out, which I think is a good idea because if he's not 100%, there's really no sense in rushing him back, especially because it's not like they're playing some offensive or defensive juggernaut that you'll need like all hands on deck for. If Dak was playing and if they were more if it was a bigger of a game or if it was Giants Cowboys later in the season, then sure. But I'd prefer to let him rest and see where it goes from there. Dalton Schultz is going to test to see how he feels, and then before the game, and then they'll decide from there if he can play. But I believe that is all of the news that they've released so far. We'll probably hear about how Dak's doing. I believe he's getting his stitches out today, so he can probably start throwing a ball um, in the next few days, which is a good thing. But Ray, what are your thoughts on Gallup not playing and Peters starting at left guard? Apparently, Zach Martin has been giving him pointers on how to play
Hmm.
guard because I don't think he's played guard in a while. I know he played right tackle his first year, but he's been in the league for a lot of years. I don't know if he ever played guard before.
Well, I am happy that they are keeping Tyler Smith at left tackle, considering
Yeah.
that's why they drafted him. So moving him back to the interior would be ridiculous, especially since he's not looked half bad thus far. Um, as for Jason Peters playing left guard and getting pointers from Zach Martin, great, cool. I mean, this is the team to go up against for your debut at a new position. Since it is the Giants, and the Giants, other than this year, have been pretty pedestrian everywhere um, in the last 3, 4, 5 years, excluding 2016. But I mean, I think he'll have an impact. He's a veteran player. He should do fine. I don't see the offensive line imploding because Jason Peters is at left guard instead of left tackle. I kind of look at the Giants' strength is their back end and their secondary, and their linebacking core. So I think that I mean this defensive line can be had with the running game, but I'll kind of dive into that a little bit later. But I do have an addition. Wasn't Dennis Houston waived
Yeah.
last week? Okay,
Eh,
so the
Brought back on the practice squad.
Dak's favorite target has been waived, which says a lot about his favorite target. Um, but yeah, and Jalen Tolbert's still inactive.
He might play. No one really knows.
He might
I
play.
I assume that he would because if Houston isn't playing and if you're not bringing back Gallup, then you're either expecting Noah Brown to have a similar performance to last week or CD to have like 100 plus yards, which I doubt that happening. And then everything's on Simi Foco, and he hasn't really played much. Not that I don't trust him. He just hasn't played enough for me to be like, yeah, this guy's gonna go off for like 80 yards. So
It's going to be a fun day for the offense
oh,
today.
it always is.
but yeah, that's kind of all I have in regards to news. I guess with the whole Dak news, if the Cowboys are able to win today, I see no reason why Dak needs to be rushed back
Yep.
because they've already stolen one of the two games, or a game that they weren't expected to win, and they have the Washington. Is it Washington the following week or is it Philly? I
It's
think it's
Washington
Washington.
next week, and then it's the Rams.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, Washington's a winnable game. If you can somehow get out of this stretch 3-0, I mean, the longest you can keep Dak on the sideline to make sure he's fully healthy, I'd do it. So
Yeah.
I don't see no reason why he should even be throwing after getting stitches out. He's still just had surgery on his hand injury, so I
Yeah.
feel like he should be well rested for when he comes back to face the resurging Jacksonville Jaguars and the um, mediocre / dangerous Detroit Lions and the abysmal Houston Texans and whoever else on their schedule that's pedestrian. The
Yep.
Bears,
Yeah.
the quarterback away Chicago Bears.
I didn't watch the Houston game, but I kept on seeing Jalen Petrie. He got 2 interceptions, and they still lost. I was beyond confused.
Yeah, it's both defenses play hard. The offenses do not. They are
but
not very good.
but no game will ever beat the 11-10 hard fought battle that was at Sunday Night Football. All the past 3 Sunday Night Football games have been pretty bad, which is funny.
Yeah, I'm still on my Miami high.
So
The
looking at the Giants roster, which if you could give me like 3 players or 4 players that scare you or you think that could be difference makers for tonight.
well, enemy number one is definitely Saquon Barkley. The
Mm-hmm.
Dallas defense had a difficult time stopping Leonard Fournette week one. I think they cleaned it up okay against Joe Mixon and the Bengals, but Saquon is just on another level than both of those backs when he's healthy. And if he gets loose a couple of times, then that could just be game, set, match for Dallas, depending on whether or not Cooper Rush plays well. So I think they definitely need to try and keep him bottled up. Um, I'm very comfortable saying that, considering my fantasy team is losing so badly that even a good game from Saquon will not help me win. So I have no loyalty to Saquon today. So hopefully he gets bottled up for 20 carries for negative 10 yards. But yeah, he's definitely priority enemy number one. Priority enemy number two would definitely be Kadarius Toney. He's had success against the Cowboys in recent years or recent matchups, since this is only his second year. So definitely have to keep him bottled up. He's really the only person who's competent in the wide receiver room for the Giants. Kenny Galladay is a no-show most of the time anyway, so don't have to worry about him very much. And it's really just going to probably be Toney and I guess maybe Sterling Shepard is still on their team. I'm not
Yeah.
really sure. So I guess him, but he doesn't really scare me very much either. So really just Kadarius Toney and Saquon on the offense. And then I'm blanking on the guy's name in the secondary, but I believe he had an
Xavier
interception.
McKinney, or is it a
don't
corner or a safety?
I believe it is a safety.
Okay, then it was probably McKinney.
Bradbury?
Bradbury is an Eagle.
Lovely. He used to be a Giant.
he used to be a Giant. Are you talking about Julian Love, Adoree Jackson, Darnay Holmes, Aaron Robinson? One of those guys. One of those guys did something.
I think it's actually neither of them, so it might be a different player.
Wow, that'd be interesting.
Is Thibodeau healthy?
Yes, he is playing this week. And
okay,
so
well he is.
Ojulari.
All right, priority enemy number 3 is Thibodeau. We cannot let
that is true.
Mr. Thibodeau get to Cooper Rush, because if he gets to Cooper Rush, then we are in big trouble, because he will hit Cooper Rush very hard, and then Cooper Rush will be rattled for the rest of the game. It will not be a gold rush if
That's a
Thibodeau is
good one.
getting to the quarterback. So he is going to be priority enemy number 3. So we got 2 offensive enemies and 1 defensive enemy for me.
This is his first. This is his first game, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what he does, and how Dallas tries to keep him under wraps. But my 3, definitely Saquon. The Giants right now are third in rushing yards. They average 170.5. So third in the league. In Dallas, week 1, we're not really great against the run. Last week, they were better, but I think that was definitely due to the fact of um, definitely due to the fact that the Bengals were behind for most of the game, so they had to throw their way into it. They couldn't really rush the ball, and also their offensive line wasn't all that great. And yeah, I'm gonna say both of their. So I'm gonna do, I guess, for my second one, Thibodeau and Aziz Ojolari. They're both playing their first games of the season, so they're going to be healthy. They're both coming off injuries, so it'll be interesting to see what they do, if they're going to be on a snap count or anything like that. And my third, I will put as their offensive line. They had Andrew Thomas, PFF. I don't really trust for anything other than for offensive or defensive lineman grades. And Andrew Thomas, their left tackle, has been one of the best, if not the best, graded left tackles. And Evan Neal has not been graded as high. And their tackles are the strength of that offensive line. So it'll be interesting to see how they play against Micah Parsons and just whoever else Dan Quinn decides to throw their way. If the Giants are able to keep Micah Parsons, who is coming off of some type of sickness, so he may not be at 100% capacity. If they can limit him to not really take over the game like he did the last 2 weeks, I think the Giants could be in they could be dangerous if they're able to stop him and run the ball consistently. It'll be a long day for the Dan Quinn led defense.
Yeah. Well, just a quick point of order for Mr. Micah Parsons. Lawrence Taylor is going to be in attendance for this
Oh
game,
yes.
so that could provide some additional motivation or show us the fraud that Micah Parsons truly is, because he will fold under the pressure of showing out for Mr. LT. I doubt the option 2 will not happen, because there's nobody on the Giants who can block Micah Parsons. So he's going to have his fair share of meetings and greetings with Mr. Daniel Jones in the backfield, which will most likely end up in Daniel Jones being on the turf and the ball being on the ground, because Daniel Jones fumbles pretty much every time he steps on the football field. But yeah, those are very solid solid 3 enemies.
Also, I think one more thing: keeping Daniel Jones in the pocket. He can't really like him throwing the ball. They are ranked. I believe. They are ranked 31st in passing yards. But if he can get loose and run the ball, then it'll be a little difficult to keep him under wraps. But I don't think that'll be too much of an issue.
Yeah, I love how none of Daniel Jones is not concerning for either of us.
Yeah, imagine he goes off for like 350, then I'll sit and cry if he go here. It's like a monster game.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to get back in the plus column as of my predictions. I need to get back to 2-1.
Yeah, this week's not gonna do much for me, but hopefully I could be 2-2 before the Rams game, because the Rams game, big news for the Rams game. It'll be a good week of preparation. But what are some key matchups that you think is going to decide this game?
I think matchup number one is definitely going to be our offensive line. I think that if we can protect Cooper Rush fairly well, then we should have no issue moving the football. The Giants have been a solid defense thus far, but they have played some pretty terrible football teams. Falcons and the Panthers. Not the Falcons, the Titans and the Panthers. So, I mean, the Titans did look a little bit better this last week, but they were playing another pretty terrible team in the Raiders. So, I mean, we're gonna really see if the Giants are legit today. So I definitely think that our offensive line protecting Cooper Rush to be able to run the ball effectively is going to be a big matchup. Matchup number two, definitely going to be on the flip side, their offensive line versus our defensive front seven. They're going to be trying to run the ball and get Saquon Barkley involved. If they can do that, that's going to open up a lot of things for them in the passing game that they typically have not had thus far. I mean, Daniel Jones, any quarterback looks a lot better when defenses are playing the run. So if you can get Daniel Jones a little bit more comfortable, run him on some play action bootlegs off of a successful run game, it's going to make defending the Giants a lot harder. And then just individual, Mr. Trayvon Diggs, who sits on one side of the field, does not travel, versus whoever lines up against him, whether it be Galladay, Shepard, Tony, like just him being cornerback number one. See how he does against either of those guys. So because I mean he's got house money today. Running game is probably not going to be a factor, so he's going to be kind of playing, not having to second guess if there's a run coming or anything like that. He's going to be able to gamble a lot, take chances. So we'll see how that plays out, but those are kind of just some matchups for me. Pretty basic, but I mean, this is kind of a pretty straightforward, basic game. There's not much
surprise,
complexity, or surprise.
And, breaking news: according to Todd Archer, Jalen Tolbert will make his debut tonight. So he will not be in street clothes. He'll be playing. It'll be good to see him out there. I'd like to see how much he plays, because he could definitely be with the starter group, him, Noah Brown, and Jalen. It'll be interesting to see what Jalen does, because the Giants, their corners, you have Adoree Jackson, Aaron Robinson, who's out, so Darnay Holmes. Adoree Jackson, he's looked up and down a lot over his career, so I'd be interested to see how he does against them. And then Dalton Schultz will be a game time call, so who really knows if he will play. But if he doesn't, Dallas has two really good rookies in Hendershot, and get the name of the other one, which is pretty bad. But they have two good rookies at tight end that will be able to hold down that position. But for matchups, I think they're two edge rushers, Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari. If they could take over the game, then it's going to be a long day, like you said. And then also, I don't know where Micah will line up, either Andrew or Evan. I assume he'll go up against the rookie, and if Evan Neal can stop Micah Parsons, then I think that'll be a really good way to cement himself as a top rookie in the class. And the other one, I mean, I think we did really well. The only other one, I guess, is not really players. Kellen Moore versus the defensive coordinator for the Giants. I like the game plan that Kellen had last week a lot more than the game plan that he had in week one. So hopefully, after Mike McCarthy yelled at Kellen, he got his stuff together, and hopefully he continues that into tonight. So,
yeah, it was interesting if our very faithful listeners were listening to the Sunday Night Football broadcast when it cut to halftime or it was pregame or something like that. Our old friend, Mr. Jason Garrett, is now one of the analysts on Football Night in America, and he was saying something very interesting about the Buffalo and Miami game. I'm sorry, this is the last time I will bring up that game because this is a Cowboys show, but I promise it applies. So he was talking about how Josh Allen is an incredible talent and he's very good and he was a huge impact in the game and he had a phenomenal game. But he said that they rely way too much on his ability to throw the football, and 62 pass attempts is way too much for any quarterback. So basically, what he was saying is that there needs to be more balance in the Bills' offensive game plan. And it's very interesting because the Dallas Cowboys are not a very balanced football team. And that's one of the things that I do miss about older Jason Garrett is that his teams were always very balanced in their game plans. His man, he always preached that every group has to do their job. Offense needs to be balanced, running and passing. Defense needs to get stops. Special teams needs to be sound. You never had a poor special teams with Jason Garrett, by the way. They're always making field goals and punting the ball efficiently and all that. But yeah, so let's all. I really hope that the Dallas Cowboys will take Mr. Jason Garrett's advice and be balanced today, because if they can be balanced and not get pass happy, which I don't think they will, then there's a lot more chance of winning this game, because when they throw, they're more likely to turn the ball over considering they don't have good receivers. So I'd rather see Zeke running the football and Tony running the football and maybe Tolbert getting a reverse. Not Tolbert. Turpin getting a reverse. That would be nice. I want to see some running and then some play action. So if we can limit Mr. Cooper Rush to 25 passing attempts, I think we'll be fine. I think this game should not be too difficult for the Cowboys to win.
Interesting. Well, looking at some stats, the Cowboys the last two games have averaged giving up 120.5 rushing yards, and the Giants have given up 119.5. So Dallas the last 2 weeks, like I said earlier, has been susceptible to giving up a lot of rushing yards. And if Saquon can continue his week one success and carry on, I do think that that the Giants will be able to win. And
so yeah, the difference between the Cowboys and the Giants when it comes to rushing yards is the Giants have played Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, who are top 5 running backs, and the Cowboys played Leonard Fournette and Joe Mixon, who are top 15, 20 running backs. But I think it was impressive to see the Giants hold Derrick Henry under 100 yards, considering that they had no passing game, so they were able to stack the box and to stop Derrick Henry. While I do despise Baker Mayfield as a quarterback and think he is not a good player, they do have plenty of weapons on the outside at receiver, so they were able to open up the game a little bit, and Christian McCaffrey was able to get over 100 yards against the Giants. So most of those rushing yards from well, I guess that doesn't really matter because it's the same thing for both teams. But I think the Giants definitely, their run defense has an advantage over the Cowboys' run defense just based on the backs they played. So I would technically, if I was putting them side by side, I'd probably take the Giants' run defense. However, I do think the Cowboys are still going to have success running the ball just because it is a division opponent, and you typically get up for division opponents more than you would against an outsider. So
that's true.
Those are my thoughts.
So do you have any hot takes for this week? Anything that you think is going to happen, or think that may not happen? But I'm curious to see.
Hot takes.
Or predictions, whatever you want to call it.
I think that My hot take is if the Cowboys lose this game, we'll see Dak next week.
Okay. Interesting.
What was his timetable that Jerry
It
gave? 4
was
weeks?
Jerry announced, I saw, that he what I got from it was that he was wishfully thinking that there is no way that he'll be back in 4 weeks. He's getting his stitches out today. There's no way he's going to be able to throw a ball consistently because he wasn't throwing the ball well week 1. There's no way that he's going to be able to come back and throw any better. So they said 4 weeks. So they said the Rams game. But I don't really. I do see the validity to your comments, and I do think that would definitely. I think they let him practice. But who
Oh,
knows?
I was gonna retract that comment based on whether or not Jerry gave a timetable because I thought I heard that he was saying
Jerry
that
said
the
4 weeks.
surgery was a success and that he would be back a lot sooner.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. Hot take. I think that Saquon might break the all-time rushing record against the Cowboys today.
And
so
what is
that
that?
would be, I think, 289 rushing yards in a single
goodness.
game. So that's going to be my hot take of the episode.
Interesting.
Do I necessarily believe it? No. But for the integrity of hot takes, then yes, that is my hot take for the day.
My hot take is that I believe that Trayvon Diggs will get his first interception. It will be returned for a touchdown. So Diggs has success against the NFC least, especially against the Philadelphia Eagles. But Daniel Jones targeted his favorite wide receiver, Trayvon Diggs, last year in East Rutherford, and Diggs received it. He got a touchdown. He caught the interception. So we'll see what happens this week. But it is in East Rutherford. It is a Giants home game, and I'm very thankful for that because you and I both know, dating back to 2016, Dak is not a very good cold weather quarterback. So I'm glad that they get this cold game out this early, which normally they don't. Normally they play in New Jersey or New York later in the year.
It is September, so I don't think it will be that cold.
No, I'm just saying that it'd be better to play it now than play in December because Dallas is not a very good cold team.
I gotcha.
But yeah, I have Dallas losing this game just based on their running game, and I do think that with Kayvon Thibodeau and Ojulari coming back, I think that Kayvon has a lot to prove. People have not really been very high on him. He was supposed to be the first overall pick, and then he wasn't taken until pick 5. And I think he has a chip on his shoulder to prove to everyone and to prove to himself and his team that he was worthy of being a top 5 pick, as well as he should have been picked higher. I do think that Terrence Steele looked good last week, and so did Tyler Smith. But I do think that Terrence will have a more difficult time going up against Kayvon. So I have the Giants winning by, let's see, a touchdown.
Well, after the Cowboys win against the Bengals, I typically would say I'm surprised with your prediction, but considering it is you, I'm not surprised.
That's so nice.
But yeah, so I guess I think that it's very interesting because typically in a perfect world, we would have Prescott, and he is, regardless of how I feel about his quarterback play and where he ranks amongst the NFL right now, he's way better than Daniel Jones. So
it's not saying much.
But we do have Cooper Rush, and I'm not really sure if Cooper Rush is better than Daniel Jones. because Daniel Jones plays for the Giants and not in a great air situation. I do think that the Giants are a lot better coached this year. I think that they have finally kind of found their way with their front office and coaching staff. So I definitely think they are the better coach team. Not saying much because Mike McCarthy is the coach on the other side, but so they do have the advantage there. But I think the Cowboys are just better personnel wise, and their defense has shown the last 2 weeks that they can hold good offenses to minimal points. And the Giants are not a great offense and haven't been scoring very many points. I think their highest scoring day is 22 points. So I do think that the Cowboys will be able to win just based off their defense. And if they can get 21 points today, I think that'll be enough to win. So a couple touchdowns and then a couple field goals, and I think that'll be enough to win. However, if they cannot slow down Saquon Barkley and he gets loose a couple times and breaks away for a touchdown or 2 touchdowns, then that completely changes the game, and you're asking Cooper Rush to make a play. And he has shown he can make plays, but typically he is a backup quarterback, so I wouldn't expect him to go 3-0 with 3 game-winning drives. So, but I'm just going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to take the Cowboys 21-10. So a pretty easy victory. I think they'll be up the entirety of the football game and won't be really threatened just because their defense is so good.
I do agree with the personnel. I think that Dallas has a history of losing games they should win. But while you were talking, and you've mentioned Kadarius Toney a few times, and in the news, a lot reporters have been asking Toney how he feels about his usage, and according to Pro Football Reference, he has 2 receptions for 0 yards, and he has 2 rushes for 23 yards. So he has not recorded a single receiving yard, and I do think that I think that will. I would assume that would eat at a player and want them to succeed. And he has had success against Dallas. He's also punched Dallas players and been thrown out of games. So we shall see. Hopefully, Kadarius Toney does not get angry and punch anyone. But I do think that Toney will have a big game going up against Anthony Brown, because we both know that um, Diggs will probably be on Galladay or Sharp. Or sorry, Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, I'm sure that Diggs will have a very difficult time covering Kenny Galladay.
Who knows?
It makes me very sad that he won't line up with the best receiver and will choose to line up against the worst receiver in the NFC East.
I don't think he's choosing to. I think that's more of a scheme thing. Because the last time that I think Diggs consistently traveled was the second game against the command or the then football team, and he played really well against them. Granted, it was Heineke playing quarterback, but
he should travel with
but
Toney, because Galladay does not deserve his attention. They could leave Galladay uncovered and still Daniel Jones would be unable to find the
that's
Galladay.
true. Yeah, in a perfect world, sure, but even like I was talking with you a few days ago, Byron Jones didn't really travel much either, and I know that everyone wanted him to, but I don't really understand it. I guess we'll have to look back.
By the way, Byron Jones, hell of a job Sunday. Hell of a job. Hell of a job. And I'm blanking on the other guy. Blanking on the other guy from Baylor.
The Baylor grad, Xavier Howard.
Yes, hell of a job, Xavier Howard. Y'all are the truth. Come to Dallas.
Well, one of them was already there.
And Sauce Gardner will take you too.
Yeah, well, I think that any team would want to take any corner. any good
And
corner.
Surtain. We'll take Surtain as well.
Yeah, I wanted Pat, but I'll take Micah.
No, I'm of course we would keep Micah. We just trade someone else. We trade. How about we do a 3-team deal? We ship Diggs and Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis to
Okay.
the Fish. The Fish give us back Xavier Howard. They then ship our two other Brown. They shipped Brown,
And
not
Calvin
Brown,
Joseph.
Diggs. They shipped Diggs to
Wait,
the Jets, and we
well,
throw in Kelvin Joseph, and then they give us back Sauce
well,
Gardner.
you
And
already
we'll
shipped
throw.
Diggs to Miami, so
No,
I don't think that
no,
works.
it's gonna work out. Trust me. Because we're shipping. Miami realizes they don't want Diggs, and they're gonna ship him to the Jets, and then we're gonna throw in a couple first round picks to get Sauce Gardner. And in
Of
turn, we
course.
will have a Xavier Howard and Sauce Gardner secondary.
Sounds pretty good now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that would never happen.
In other words, Slater, the Chargers left tackle, is out for the season with a injury. He tore something this past week, so that means the Chargers got a lot worse. So
Well,
hopefully he has a speedy recovery and he's able to come back next year and be even better than he is now.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend was not a great day for
No.
Owen. Or yesterday was not a great day for Owen because one, Trevor Lawrence went crazy. The Dolphins won. The Rams won. I guess really the only positive for you was that Russell Wilson looked terrible again, but he still won.
I've been saying this. It does not matter.
However,
Jimmy Garoppolo stepped out of the back of the end zone and threw a pick six simultaneously while doing it. So it does not matter. That game has no bearing.
it's okay because both of those teams will be in the playoffs come January.
No. The only team coming out of that division now is probably unless the Chargers can figure out the left tackle situation, it's going to be the Chiefs. Now, granted, the Chiefs just blew a game against the Colts, but
yes, that's my other one. The Colts. Yeah. Mr. Matt Ryan improved to 1-1-1. Owen was under the impression that they were 0-2. He forgot that they tied, which was not his fault. So technically, they should be 2-1 right now, but they are 1-1. Which is totally fine.
A man once told me
AFC Championship game is still wide open.
A man once told me a broken clock is right 2 times a day. So the Colts being the broken clock have already been right once this year. We'll see what happens in the future.
The AFC Championship game is still wide open.
Yeah, it's week 3, so I'd like for it to be wide open.
I will say that my dark horse MVP Derek Carr was a complete dud. I will never trust Derek Carr again. He is inept and cannot find Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams should regret picking him over Aaron Rodgers.
Is Dak now better than Derek Carr?
They are equally terrible.
Inept.
They are equally inept.
This is fair, but yeah, the Shannon Sharp, quality Twitter character. He was going off on the Broncos. Obviously, he played for them way back when he was in the NFL. But he your pet cat Jerry Jeudy. He was saying, I'm gonna paraphrase. He said Jerry Jeudy does all these like all these stutter step routes over the offseason, but cannot catch a ball. Apparently, he had a case of the dropsies last night. So Jerry Jeudy.
I did see quite a few of those drops.
So Jerry Jeudy, you are in the CeeDee Lamb class. Both of you do a bunch of stutter steps in the offseason and cannot. Y'all would have a hard time catching a cold. So hopefully they can be better in the future. But The Broncos, who traded basically their whole future and gave Russell Wilson a lot of money, just scored 11 points
They don't
in
even
prime time.
use they. It's. I mean, I was talking to some fellow sports enthusiasts yesterday, and
That's always fun.
we were discussing whether or not it's Russell Wilson or the coach or the play calling, and I have no idea
Excuses.
because well, I said I have no idea, I have no clue because Russell Wilson has not looked good. He's looked terrible. However, they're running the most basic, cheap, weak. Um,
Now you know why Aaron Rodgers was so mad 24/7.
I mean, they're not utilizing his strength of his moon ball, his deep ball that goes to the moon. They're not throwing it deep. They check it down. They don't use Javonte Williams. They bring in old man Melvin Gordon. I need him off the field immediately. Because he steals rushing touchdowns from my fantasy player, Javonte Williams.
A wise man once told me, his name is Mr. Ray Nickens. He told me, I don't know if y'all know who this Ray Nickens character is, but he told me that quarterbacks, good upper echelon quarterbacks, if there's bad play calling going on, they say, you know what, guys, we're gonna call an audible, and they defy the play calling, and
yes,
apparently Russell Wilson's not doing that. So
I already said I have no idea whose fault it is. It could be both. It could be one. It could be Jerry Judy's fault for dropping passes. We don't know at this point. But
of course,
I'm willing to have a indisclosed, uncertain, I don't know as of this week, and then come to a conclusion next week who is the problem. Because Russell Wilson getting booed by Broncos supporters 2 weeks in a row is not a good look. I bet they wish they had Peyton Manning. I bet they wish they had Peyton Manning.
I'm sure a lot of
45-year-old Peyton Manning, not 40, 48-year-old Peyton Manning.
I am no Dak enthusiast, but
you are a Dak.
If Dak would have had the performance that Russell Wilson had, you would have. I'm gonna pull. You would have come here, Skip Bayless banging on the table, saying,
"Oh, he played terrible.
Is
he
awful."
Played terrible.
You would say terrible. you would not bring up the play calling. You would not bring up anything. But for any other quarterback, play calling, Jerry Judy, Man the Moon.
I'm just saying that it's what all of this came. It's what the talking heads are. The talking heads are saying play calling, Nathaniel Hackett being inept. And what I'm seeing on the field is that Russell Wilson just looks terrible. So that's why I brought up, I don't know what the problem is. It's way too early to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, he did not play in the preseason.
He's been in the league way longer. Like at this point, he should not be an issue.
I'm saying new offense, no preseason reps, and he looks terrible, and the coach looks, regardless of play calling, the coach does look like a fool so far. So we really don't know what's going on. It should be better. I will give you a full synopsis on what the problem is next week after they play
I'm sure this will make you laugh. All Denver has to do is play Dallas, and all of their
after they play the Raiders. If they lay a dud against the Raiders, I will come here and say the problem is Mr. Russell Wilson.
But it's the Raiders. They're 0-3. That's not really a good.
No, I'm saying if he lays a dud, if he stinks.
Oh, I know, but even if he has like 300 yards, like it's the Raiders.
Well, they played the Seahawks and looked terrible, and then they played the Texans and looked terrible. So if they followed up with the Raiders and looked terrible again, then it's the quarterback.
Well, but yeah, this week division, if Dallas can win this game, I believe they'll be second in the division, which is good because
they will be tied for second with the Giants.
No. Well, I thought that because Dallas beat them in the division, they'd have the
They
tiebreaker.
would, yes, but yes, technically you are right. However, with week 4 on the way, it'll be
Yeah,
Eagles undefeated, Giants and Cowboys 2-1, Washington nobody cares.
yeah. So that'll be exciting to see. I did not expect, and we'll get into this more for the Bengals postseason, but I did not expect um, this type of positivity around Dallas. Um, so it's good to see that, you know, 2 weeks ago I thought that this would have been a blowout, but but I think that it might be it's going to be a close game, but I do think that the Giants will end up winning. And I will close with a sad statement from Mr. Ben DiNucci. For everyone that doesn't know, Mr. Ben DiNucci has a clothing company. He has hats, which are pretty nice. I've been waiting to get one, but they are sold out. He posted on this brand's Twitter account and said, I have a bunch of Dallas Cowboy merch. I will no longer have a use for it. I'll be giving it away. And a part of my heart broke a little bit because
Mm.
I will no longer be able to see
I'm,
the
I'm
James
sh-
Madison Rocket. I thought that Dallas was going to bring him back on the practice squad, but Jerry Jones has failed me yet again. So,
I mean, it's quite sad that they wasted a draft pick on him, not to at least put him back on their practice squad.
well, I
Who
think that
knows? Who knows? Maybe they're waiting for him to sell or give away all of his Dallas merch before they eventually bring him back.
it'd be pretty
As to
good.
where he has no Dallas merch anymore.
I do think that Dallas drafted him because there were other teams that wanted to pick him up. So it makes sense. But honestly, who else are you going to draft in the 7th round and
Tom
be of
Brady.
use? This is true. Oh, also, one last thing. Connor Williams got a penalty. He got the good old fashioned false start everyone but the center. So Connor Williams, good job being the center for Miami and getting the beloved false start everyone but the center. Good for you.
So he was playing center?
Yes, he is the starting center. I don't get it either. Trust me, I have no idea. I
Maybe
think
well, if the Miami Dolphins were able to win with him starting at center, maybe the Cowboys are the issue. Maybe
he's been
it's
playing
in
at
the
center since his whole tenure in Miami. He's been the starting center.
yeah. I think we can safely say that it was not Connor Williams' fault in Dallas. It was Dallas's fault because if he's able to transition to center and they were able to win, then he is forever installed as an elite player who has gone from Dallas somewhere else and then improved drastically. So you know how they have the meme of everyone blowing leads after the Falcons? I
Yes.
will be creating a very similar meme to every Dallas player who leaves the Cowboys. They become so much better,
I
and
was
then
not
they turn.
expecting him to because I know coming out of Texas, everyone said his arms were too small, so we knew he wasn't going to play left tackle. And then Tyron Smith, you're not going to outbeat him. So the only place that they could put him was left guard because they had Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Lyle Collins.
Lyle Collins is proving he is the only player in the last couple who've been tragic at their
Randy
jobs
Gregory has
outside of Dallas.
Randy Gregory has 15 pressures in 3 games, so good for you.
Yes, it is quite. The pain is high.
Well, you and I both knew you and I both know if they would rather take Terrence Steele than pay Lyle Collins, even if Lyle Collins was the better player, I'm sure they would work on a salary reconstruction because they didn't want to pay him $10 million, but it was assumed that they thought that he was a better player, and he's proving to be so because Michael
Where's
Parsons had Lyle turning around, running left and right.
Where's Doug Free? I
Doug Free is
wonder how much.
retired.
It was hype. It was a joke.
Wow. I miss him.
He before Connor Williams, he was the Mr. Penalty, holding, false start. He was the guy. So I guess you always have one guy who's
There's
getting
always one.
penalized on the offensive line.
But for anyone that cares, Tyler Smith is the highest rated offensive lineman rookie for PFF. He's been doing well.
He's been doing well.
Been
Let's
doing
see how
very
he
well.
does it. Let's see if he can keep it up.
I do like that. I do like what you said earlier about them keeping him at left tackle. I think that if they would have moved him inside, you'd basically ruin his development. Because I don't really know. Because this makes it interesting now.
I mean, if Tyler Smith has a great year, I will first apologize to him live, and then I will say goodbye, Tyron Smith.
Yeah, I don't know if he could play right tackle or you can't because moving him anywhere else. Because even remember Zach Martin moving to right tackle, he got injured. So Tyron Smith will either become the best swing tackle of all time, or he will be on the Browns. There really is no in between.
Or he could retire. He could just hang it up. That would be the best decision, considering he barely has a back or knees right now.
And he has no hamstring.
Yeah, hanging it up would be a solid idea. No one would care. We would all congratulate him on a very successful career.
Yeah, and then maybe he can come back to be a coach. But exactly. I do think that Tyler has played well. He's gone up against Hendricks. I forget his name, but the defensive lineman Trey Hendrickson, I think his name is for the Bengals. He took over the game against the Jets. He had multiple forced fumbles, multiple sacks. He did nothing against Tyler Smith. So all that I'm saying, I said from the draft, I said that he would be good.
There's 15 weeks left, and they've played.
There are 15 weeks.
Anthony and Aaron Donald's coming.
I don't think he'll go up against Aaron Donald.
He moves everywhere. He goes everywhere. Aaron Donald will be everywhere. So
even if Kyle doesn't do well against him, that'd be
a good
test.
Aiden Hutchinson coming up. Whoever the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted is coming up.
Walker
Thibodeau is coming up. Thibodeau is on his way. The Eagles' front seven are on their way twice. There is plenty of time. Oh, and Roquan Smith. He is also coming in Chicago.
You mean Robert Quinn?
Either of them.
Roquan is a linebacker.
Well, he is coming. Roquan Smith is coming. So there is plenty of time for Mr. Penalty to show his face, and for you to be saying I spoke too soon. So let's say
I'm speaking in the moment.
He's doing great right now, and we will see if he can improve against the elite talent.
And even if he doesn't, he's still a rookie, so it'll be okay.
Oh yes. He is still a rookie.
There's always an out. But thank you all for listening, and hopefully you enjoy your Monday night. A lot of the primetime games this year have been pretty awful. So hopefully this one does not continue.
Don't worry, guys. We have the Miami Fish and the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday this upcoming week. So
Cincinnati is a fraudulent team. They are frauds.
That's okay. They're 1-2. They are
frauds.
They are in great position to be 500.
But we will be back probably some point this week to talk about this game as well as Cincinnati game. And Ray, any closing statements you'd like to make?
I think that next episode, when it is a more post game, I will have Mr. Owen apologize to Mr. Tua. I'll let him off the hook today, but he will have to be forced to apologize eventually for his slander on Mr. Tua and Mr. Tyreek Hill. Most people are being forced to apologize to both of them. But
I
I will
never
let I
spoke
will.
ill of Tyreek Hill. I said that Tyreek Hill made Patrick Mahomes. If anything, I was talking ill on Patrick. I never
You will
talked
you
ill
will
of
you will
Tyreek.
be forced to apologize to both of them.
One thing I ever said about Tyreek was that his speed, which obviously him, Jalen Waddle, like his speed was a big reason why he's so good, but also he can catch everything. So
It will be Mr. Tyreek Hill, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. I am sorry for doubting you and your ability to win. You
like you told me 2 minutes ago, it's only week 3. So
well
settle
they
down there, buddy.
Ravens, Bills, Bengals 4-0. Be lucky
Oh,
we don't have to play the Dolphins.
I would love to play the Dolphins. I'd love to.
I'm sure you would. Having the
I'd
Mr. Noodle
love
Arm
to.
throw bombs. Mr. Noodle Arm throwing bombs. That's what would
I
happen.
would love that.
But anyway,
Any closing statements?
We will wait for that next week. Closing statements. The Cowboys should have 0 issue winning. So I will be watching them closely tonight. And if it is a 10-point lead at halftime, I will slowly remove myself from the situation, and move on to other things. But if they are losing, then I will be tweeting very, very harshly. So be on the
Will you be
lookout
active on
for the
Twitter regardless?
Yes, I will be active.
Okay.
My activity will increase based on the positive or negative that comes from tonight.
And where can fans find you talking on this so-called Twitter app?
Well, I'm glad you asked because we do have a very fun Twitter page known as America's Team, capital P, capital C. That is where you can find all of the interesting tweets for all about the Cowboys. However, if you just a shameless plug, if you do want to see a more diverse Twitter, you can then move on to the Nickens One Ray Twitter, where I post a lot more post um, a lot more exquisite takes on a lot more things. So if you get tired of Dallas Cowboys tweets, you can then move yourself to the Nickens One Ray Twitter page.
You're a sellout. I would never. You're a sellout. But
sometimes the people don't want to hear about Dak and Cooper Rush. They want to hear about Tua
golf
or Quinn Ewers, or I've never tweeted about golf actually.
Well, maybe you should start.
But now that you say that.
But thank you everyone for tagging along. It has been the pleasure. It has been a pleasure talking to y'all, and Ray, it's always a pleasure talking to you as well.
Yes, and first golf tweet of the Twitter page.
Y'all are whoever's listening, whoever listens in the future, you heard a master tweeting live. You saw him, and it's quite the sight to see.
But yeah, follow us on America's Team, capital P.
Yeah,
capital
follow
C
the
for
sellout,
Twitter.
please.
If you want to follow the sellout or just the person who has great tweets, you can follow me at Nickens1 Ray. I can't promise I'll follow you back, but that's just how it goes.
He's too Hollywood for everyone.
Tune in for the Cowboys Giants Hollywood matchup. Unfortunately, we don't get Carrie Underwood performing before the game like the Broncos and the 49ers did, but that's irrelevant. But yeah,
I wish I could be at the game.
Hopefully, halftime will be a fun halftime. If we are losing by 20 points, it will be a very sad halftime. But yeah, check us out on social media, and let's go Cowboys. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week. See y'all later.